Hey guys, it's me, Kate again. So this video will be my August wrap-up. I can't believe it's already 31st of August. So because I'm filming this on 31st, I do have one book that I still haven't finished, but I'm planning to listen the rest of the audiobook today, so I'll talk about it at the end of the video. So the first book that I read in the month of August was the Witchblood by Lisa Casey, which was my second reread of this book. So in this, actually the whole series, Kitsune Chronicles, we're following Sebastian, who is a kitsune, which is a Japanese nine-tailed folk spirit with elemental magic. So Sebastian has been raised among werewolves, and a year ago something happened. So he went on the run until present day, when he bumps into Liam, an alpha werewolf who actually saved him a year ago when that happened. I would really like to reread the second one and go on to the third one, but I don't have them, and Scrib, last time I checked, Scrib didn't have audiobook of the third one, so I know that I have them on my wishlist, which will be linked down below if I remember. So it would be really the third one that I want, because the second one I can listen to on audio, but still I would really like to own both of them, so I do have all books published so far, besides the novella, which you can get on author's website. So the next book that I read was Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, by Mackenzie Lee, which is a sequel to The Gentleman's Guide to Whites and Virtue, and the second book in Montague Siblings series. I know that the third one is supposed to come out this year. I don't remember when. So in this series we're following Montague siblings. So in the first one we're following Monty, who is just about to go on to his grand tour with his best friend Percy, who he may or may not be in love with, and his sister Felicity tags along because they need to ship her off to this finishing school partway through the tour. In this one we're following Felicity as our main character after the events of first one, and Felicity really wants to become a doctor, doesn't want to go to the finishing school, so we're following her story here. Then the next book that I read was my reread of Vengeful by V. Schwab, which is the second book in the Villain series. So in this series we're following Victor and Eli, who 10 years ago at college were roommates and best friends, and now they're mortal enemies. And now after Victor breaks out of jail, he is going to kill Eli. Both of them are extraordinaries, which are in this world people with powers, and the only way to get powers is to die. So they kill themselves and each other in college to get all sorts of powers. This book is continuation of the story. And this like really interesting what it says here on the back. Magneto and Professor X, Superman and Lex Luthor, Victor Vale and Dilla Ever, Sydney and Serena Clark, great partnership, now now Sword on the Vine. As you might have guessed, Sydney and Serena Clark are sisters who are now enemies. One works with Victor, one works with Eli. It's like really funny how stuff goes from there. The next book that I read is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the original screenplay by you-know-who. I really love these movies, and I do own both screenplays of this one and the second one. So I decided why not to reread like the first one. This one is less than 300 pages and it's a screenplay, so there's a lot of dialogue, not a lot of exposition, so it took me like a day to read. So, but if you don't know what Fantastic Beasts movies are about, they're about Newt Scamander who is studying Fantastic Beasts, and at the beginning of the first movie he goes to New York to get something somewhere. The next book that I read was My Reread of Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, which is a children's classic about friendship, basically. In this, one are following a piglet named Wilbur who befriends a spider named Charlotte, and they do lots of stuff together. And then finally, something I didn't actually read on my own, but I listened to the audiobook, was A Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, which is second book in Farseer trilogy and second book in the Realm of the Elderling. So in the Farseer trilogy we are following Fitz, who is a royal assassin. So everything starts with him being dropped off onto the steps of the keep by his maternal grandfather, and to be sent off to his father, Prince in the Crown Prince, Prince Chivalry, who, upon hearing about his bastard son coming, abdicates the throne and goes to live on the countryside, where he eventually dies, which leaves Fitz in this really awkward situation where he is mostly raised by the stable master Boric until a certain age when King decides that he would be a perfect royal assassin, because he's royal, but because he's a bastard, not everyone would pay attention to him, which leaves him in the it leaves him to be great royal assassin. Oh, I haven't told you ratings of any of these books. So Witch of Blood was 5 out of 5 stars, Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy 4 out of 5, Vengeful 4 out of 5, Fantastic Beasts 5 out of 5, Charlotte's Web 5 out of 5, and Royal Assassin was 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. And then I listened to the audiobook of Witches Steeped in Gold by Sinan Smart. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I don't know how to pronounce the author's name. and I'm pretty sure that I wrote it down wrong, so this was picked from one of my book clubs that I was a part of. So basically in this one we're following two girls who basically, one is basically a princess, the other one is basically from the slave people. And basically they decide to form an alliance to overthrow the mutual enemy. I don't really remember what happened in that one. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, but it's not like because I listened to the audiobook over a 2-day period, like I need to basically remind myself, oh, you started that, you should probably finish it. So it was, even though there were some interesting bits, the parts of it were really boring. I don't know what else to say. I don't even remember a bunch of stuff what happened. I was like, we got questions for the book in the book club. And I was like, did we read the same book? I don't remember half of these things happening. And that was like a few days after I finished it. So I think it tells you how much I enjoyed it. So the next book that I read was my reread of Half Bad by Sally Green. So this is the first book in Half Bad trilogy. In this one we're following a guy called Nathan who needs to escape this cage he's been held on since he was 14 before his 17th birthday, because he needs to get gifts and blood from his family member, because in this world you need to get actually blood and gifts from your family member to get your full powers. And because Nathan is half white wizard, half black wizard, and he leans more onto his father's black side, he might die if he doesn't get the blood and the gifts. I really love this book. Every time I read it, which was multiple times. I'm sorry, I bumped the tripod. The next book that I listened to was Fable by Adrienne Young. I don't know how to pronounce her author's name. So in this one we're following a girl whose father basically, after their shipwreck, basically left her on this island to fend for herself and left. Now Fable, now it's few years later, and Fable comes to her father, finally escaped the island, and demands him giving her the things he promised her. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was really fun. Like, the audiobook wasn't even that long, it was really fast to read. So the next thing that I listened to was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, which is about the girl and the boy who, I don't know, is he her brother's friend? I don't know, I only remember basically that basically they meet when he is drunk and is lying at the foot of her brother's front door, because turns out he lives right across the hall of her brother. Like, That's all I remember of the book, and I gave it apparently 4 out of 5 stars, but I think it's 3 out of 5, so... Next book that I read is Half Wild by Sally Green, which is sequel to Half Bad. We're still following Nathan in this one, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This is actually my 3rd time only reading this one, even though I read the first one more than that. So, and I love how the fire actually the flames form of some kind of picture. First one is human face, this one is a wolf, and then third one, my edition doesn't actually show anything, it's just 2 lines, but English edition does form a tree. The next book that I read was Splintered by A.G. Howard. In this book we're following Alyssa, who is in this world descendant of Alice, who inspired Alice in the Wonderland, and while going on the trip to London with her friends, Alyssa actually gets into Wonderland herself, and then we follow her shenanigans in the Wonderland. This was a reread for me, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then I listened to the audiobook of The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, so we're following this girl or woman, I don't really remember, and she basically gets into Yale, into this ninth house, which is basically the house that oversees all the other houses, and if they are using magic right way or the wrong way. I don't really remember past that. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Unhinged by A.G. Howard, which is sequel to Splintered. And basically we're still following Alyssa. In this case is just before her senior prom. Or junior prom. It's prom of some kind. And then I read Ensnared by A.G. Howard, which is the 3rd book in that series, where everything wraps up. Then I listened to She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, again part of one of the book clubs that I was a part of. This book, the beginning was interesting. Basically we're following this family, which is poor, and they have 2 kids, and one day in their village kids get their fortune told that the boy will achieve greatness and the girl won't achieve anything, which really confuses the family because they are poor. They don't know how their son will achieve greatness. And one day during famine, the kids are left orphaned, but the boy also dies there. So our female character decides to take her brother's place and achieve greatness for him. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because the beginning was really interesting, but then the rest of the book was like so 3 out of 5 stars. Then I listened to The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue by V. Schwab, which is about this woman called Eddie LaRue who, to escape her marriage to this guy, actually prays to this god that answers under dark, because everything I remember from the beginning of the book is don't pray to the gods that answer after dark, and basically makes a deal with him to live forever, basically, but that nobody will remember her. And I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, but there were some boring bits. Then I listened to The Ace of Spades by Farda Bikhamide, which is about these two black teenagers that go to this private school, and this anonymous person called Aces basically starts to texting the whole school with intimate details about them and their secrets, which leads them to go and investigate, because there are only 2 black students in the school, so obviously somebody is targeting them because of their race. Then I listened to The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I didn't love this book as much as everybody else seems to. So we're following this imaginary Hollywood starlet called Evelyn Hugo, who finally decided to tell her life story to this no-name journalist. And she decided to tell her life story through her 7 husbands. Really interesting topic, but I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was there were some interesting bits in like present day with the journalist and Evelyn Hugo, but then the story, her story of her life, is boring as hell, because she tells the story to her 7 husbands. It gets really weird to try and remember which one is which. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Then I listened to The Caraval by Stephanie Garber, which is about these 2 sisters that go on to this caraval, which is basically a circus where the performers are actually performing and the audience is actually the part of the game. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Then I read the ebook of The Convenience Store Women by Sayaka Murata. That book is awful. I don't know how it became popular at all. It was even translated in Croatian. That tells you something. Not everything is translated to Croatian. I gave it 1 star. We're basically following these women who work at the convenience store. And not much happens. Then I listened to the audiobook of Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So that's third book in Farsea's trilogy, and also the last book in the Farsia trilogy, and the third book also in the Realm of the Underling as a whole. And the last book that I actually finished until the filming of this video is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. It's the second book in the first era, Mistborn. In this series we're following these two Allomancers, Vin and Kelsier, and Kelsier is basically putting together the band of Allomancers who will overthrow the final empire, which is empire ruled by the Dark Lord who won in the past. And Vin is this street kid he meets, and basically they're both Mistborns. And in this world, Allomancers are people who can ingest metals, and depending on the metal they ingest, they have certain power. But the thing is, Mistborns can actually ingest more than one metal. Actually, they can ingest all of them, so you never know what they're gonna do. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And now I'm going to talk about a little of the book that upon filming of this video I still haven't finished, but I will today. It's Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb, first book in the Life Ship Traders and the fourth book in the Realm of the Elderling as a whole. So basically you can start Realm of the Elderling either with the Life Ship Traders or Farsia trilogy. But the thing is, you have to read them one after the other to actually continue on, because in the third series everything ties together. So in the Ship of Magic we are following this. It's multi-perspective series following this family that has a life ship, and basically the patriarch of the family is just about to die atop of the life ship, which will then awaken, and when the ship awakens it will become a life ship, which means it will be alive. And then the patriarch decides to actually leave the ship to his elder daughter, and her husband, instead of his younger daughter, who actually lived most of her life on the said ship. And stuff goes from there. And also we're following this pirate who wants to really get himself a life ship. Yeah, that one is a little bit more ridiculous, but who can blame him? Yeah, that's it for this video. If you liked it, like, share and subscribe. Please check out the wishlist link down below, where also you have my social media, my email and some other stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.